Here's our dusty old adventurer project. This is a video related to removing the rear window. Depending on your model, you'll have a couple different layers of trim. This main piece that goes around the back of the car is held in by fasteners that you'll need to lay in the trunk and turn them out from underneath. They also slide under the trim that goes at the side window. Across the top of the car on a Sportsman model is an S-curve, and then a piece that lays on top of this one, and it's held on by these clips, and that will simply snap off these clips by leveraging underneath this side of the trim. So you'll need to get that stainless trim off from around the window. These are held in by this layer of rubber right here. So the trim snaps into there and is held simply by that. And then the accessory trim that goes on the top lays on top of it and prevents it from coming out. The string that I've got in here is to lift this lip so that I can slide the leading edge underneath here under the rubber, and then the string can pull out. The glass is held in to the rubber by a locking strip. You can see this division line through here. And if we get in there and pry, you can see how the locking strip is tucked in. You'll have to open that up all the way around the perimeter of the windshield, and by doing that it allows the rubber to open. So after you've done that, you'll have a helper get in the car and start to push the glass out, pivoting at the top and rolling the glass out. So when you get to that point, it's probably wise to have one person in and maybe two people outside the car to help the glass come out, and of course not fall places you don't want it to go. So the glass is going to come out of the rubber, and the rubber will still be in the car. You can then remove the rubber and do your cleanup or headliner or whatever it is that you're about to do. If your original Mopar weather strip is still soft, it's best to keep it and be careful with the removal. This is a reproduction rubber from Steel, and it really is good. The one that they offer is for the model that does not have any trim on the inside of the car. And so it has a flap that trims. You can just see it. Things get grainy when I go out that far. But between the two molding clips over there is the remnant of the flap that the rubber has on it. You have to trim that off for a Sportsman model that would have chrome surround on the glass. You can see where we've more aggressively trimmed that flap to allow for where the clips are. And then you just have to get enough of it off of there so that it's out of the way for the chrome trim that goes around the window. But it's an excellent reproduction. Otherwise, we've bought rubber for the windows on prior projects from a couple of the major Mopar suppliers, and there's just not very good extrusions out there for these cars, so if you can keep the original rubber, it's best to do it. It's our understanding that Restoration Specialty Supplies is making a front windshield rubber now. I don't have any experience with them, so this car's still got the original rubber in it. I knew that the back ones existed, and so we cut that one out and bought a reproduction. So if you can keep them, they fit. You know, the originals always fit great, and nothing beats original. But if you have to cut or your back window glass weather strip is too brittle or torn up or whatever, you can get a good reproduction from Steel rubber. So the installation, of course, will be opposite. You'll put the weather strip in the car on the pinch weld, and you'll have this completely open and then you'll work the glass down into the bottom rubber, and from there you'll have to go inside the car and pull the rubber around the glass while you have helpers out here helping you. A little bit of soapy water on the rubber makes things a little slipperier and better. Try to avoid using metal tools on the pulling. If you hit the edge of the glass, you run a risk of shattering it, especially on a front windshield. If you nick that laminated edge, you may come back the next day and find your windshield cracked, if not immediately. So be very careful of metal tools around the edges of your glass. So once you've pulled the rubber around the inside edge of the glass, you can reset your locking strip and reassemble your trim.